I was I was walking in the woods the other day. There was nobody around, just a lot of deer. And I don't know why, but what came to my mind was I wonder what Adam thought about and what he talked about when he was in the garden walking alone and alone with God. I actually thought about that. And I actually tried to put myself in Adam's shoes without a sin nature, in a complete state of innocence. And here's God, and I'm walking with Him and talking with Him. So all I did was focus on one attribute of God. Then when I got home, I got to thinking about that. And so what I did was I wrote out, I don't know if you can see this, I wrote out what God is like, all his various attributes, and based on what he's like, what he does. What a what an amazing project that was, because by the time I was done, all I could say was, wow, what an amazing God we have. Could you imagine if God was evil, or he was a liar, or he would say things and they would not come true? Could you imagine if we had a God like that? But we don't. So what I did was I wrote down on my yellow pad everything that I knew what God is like. Now, two things. I separated it in two ways. What I thought God was like, and based on what he is like, what he does. A lot of things that he does. Let me read them to you, and I'm sure as I'm sitting here, that this will be an encouragement to you to know what God is really like, and to claim it, and to grab it, and to believe it. Someone recently told me that each morning when we wake up, that we receive God's tender mercies. They're renewed every day. You know, mercy is a gift that God withholds from us what we deserve. And every day we get to start new. Yesterday's gone. You start new. That's what God is like, with new mercies every day. That's what he does. So let me read to you just briefly what I see as God is like, and what he does based on what he is like. Okay? So you can broaden your understanding and knowledge of God. First of all, I see God as holy. And I've already talked about this in another video, so I won't go too long in it. God is holy. That means that he is without blemish. He is separate from his creation. Okay? He is completely elevated. Holy, holy, holy is what the angels sing when they're in heaven before God on the throne. He's also eternal. God never had a beginning, and he's never going to have an end. Now, I have sat and tried to think about that before. But here, the finite mind trying to grab hold of the infinite is almost impossible. The best way, best illustration I ever heard is kind of like a wire where electricity runs, both ways. But God did not have a beginning, because things that had a beginning had a cost. God never had a cost. He has always been. He's eternal. He's unchangeable. In other words, he's immutable. So he doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. A lot of people, especially charismatics, they try to make that verse means, oh, well, he did that miracle yesterday, he's going to do it today. Or, that's not talking about what he did. It's talking about his essence. It's talking about who he is. He's unchangeable as God. Okay? He is perfect, without flaw, without blemish. There is nothing soiled in him. He is absolutely perfected in beauty and everything that you can think of that's marvelous. He's omnipotent. He's all powerful. There's nothing that God cannot do. Nothing is impossible with God. All things are possible for God. Okay? Except the things that he limits himself to do. For instance, God cannot sin. He cannot tell a lie. He cannot be other than who he is. He doesn't have an identity gender crisis like a lot of people do. Okay? God is omnipotent. Okay? He's all powerful. He can do anything. He's also omnipresent. He's everywhere at the same time. I mean, that's if people in China, the opposite side of me, and God is right there too. If those astronauts were out in space, God is there too. I had a dream the other day, and I dreamed of God walking, and I saw in my mind's eye, God is so momentous, big, gigantic, moving across the earth. I mean, it was huge. And you know what? It says in the Bible that God holds the whole world in the palm of his hands. The whole world in the palm of his hands. That's how huge he is. Okay. He's omnipresent. He's omniscient. He knows everything about you and about me. I was talking to somebody tonight, and they were saying, oh, I don't get on social media because I find out everything about you. I said, well, God knows everything about you. He says, well, I just type in something. They all of a sudden know what I'm looking for, what I want to buy. I said, I don't care what people know about me. I could care less what people know about me. If I was to tell you everything about me, you probably wouldn't listen to me anymore. You want me to tell you something shocking? I have eight children, 2 of which I have never met. Okay, and 1 that was raised by my best friend, and he never told me. And I didn't know until she was 50 years old. Does that bother me to tell anybody that? No, that's life. You know, I can identify with people that have struggles and that have done different things in their past before they became a Christian, or even after they became a Christian. You know, that's life. David did things. So I don't care what anybody knows. They want to come in and know about what I am interested in. Fine, do it. My life's an open book. Okay, God knows everything anyway, and he's the one that we most want to please, right? And so, but and that's going to get to where what he does. Hold on, let me just move on here. God is omniscient. He knows everything. He's sovereign. He has his purpose all laid out. It's going to happen. Jesus is coming back. By the way, Jesus said that when the return of Christ, it'd be like the days of Noah. What were they doing in the days of Noah? They were going around business as usual. Okay? A lot of people thought, well, you know, when Biden was saying, oh, things are a wreck, things are a mess, Christ is coming back. Now they're kind of easing off on that as things are getting better. I honestly believe that Jesus is going to come back when we least expect it and everybody's gotten comfortable. You know, so be careful. Be ready. God is sovereign. His purpose is going to happen. He is inscrutable. In other words, he's beyond finding out. God has made himself known to man. God speaks to those who listen, but he doesn't tell us everything. But he does tell us some things. And those are the things he wants us to know. And they're contained in his word. Okay? He is just. In other words, he's righteous. He's going to have justice. And someday he's going to judge the world and you and I. He's everlasting. Again, he has no beginning and no end. He's infinite. He's one in three persons. Okay, there's one God, yet there's three persons. Okay, I'll explain that later. It's called the Trinitarianism, the doctrine of the Trinity. Okay, he's self-existing. God doesn't need you or I. He wants you and I, but he doesn't need you and I. He's self-existent. He doesn't have a need. He's not needy like we are. Okay, so that's just some of his attributes. There's many more. You can probably think of some. Now, let me just tell you, this is what I want to get to. And this is what will be encouraging to you, and it is to me. What does he do as a result of who he is? Well, the first thing he does is he loves us. What an infinite love. It's unconditional love that he loves us. It's not based on, well, Manny, if you're good today, I love you. If you're not good tomorrow, I won't love you then anymore. No, his love is unconditional. He can love us unconditional because of his son, Jesus. He also forgives us, again, because of Jesus. He forgives us yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Okay? He pardons us completely. You know, therefore, there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. He's merciful. That's what I said. His tender mercies are new every day. He withholds from us what we really deserve. Every day you can start new. I think it's in Lamentations. And it talks about every day is a new day with God, and that his mercies are tender every day. When you wake up, you may have had a bad day yesterday. You may have done something really, really gross yesterday. You may have done something really bad. You wake up this morning, and God says to you, here's my tender mercy. Man, that's the God we have. How can anybody not believe in the God we have? He is so holy and good. Okay, he's compassionate. He understands what we go through. Okay, he's kind. Okay, he's not cruel at all. Even his acts when Jesus was wiping the people out of the temple with a whip, that was a kind act. Okay, because it was motivated by his zeal for the Lord's house. He's gracious. He gives us what we don't deserve. He withholds from us mercy what we do deserve. He's very gracious. He is a creator. He creates in us opportunities and a new person. He does miracles. How many days is he doing miracles? Every time you pray and a prayer is answered, a miracle has taken place, because heaven has just touched earth. That's what a real miracle is, isn't it? God doing something that would not have happened otherwise. He intervened. He answers prayers. Okay, we don't just pray to the air. We pray to God, Father, and he hears our prayers. He hears every one of them, unless we regard iniquity in our heart. Then he says he turns away his ear. He wants to hear, but he's made it conditioned based on the fact that we are walking in the Spirit with him. He opens and closes doors for us. You know, how many times has God providentially led you or closed the door or showed you, hey, this is not the right person for you, you know, or this is the right person for you. He does that. He guides. He's supernaturally, theistically involved in our world and beyond our world. He gives life. You know, the minute you are conceived, you are given life. He seeks the sinner. Even though a person's lost, he loves us before we loved him. And he will go and hunt for the sheep. He sought me out. He found me, lost sinner, and rescued me as he rescues you. He judges. God is a great judge, and he's going to judge the heaven and earth someday. Oh, I got so many things here. He cares for the sinner, really does. He disciplines us, sometimes for our own good, and it's not pleasant. But he knows that the outcome is going to be very good. He chooses us. He predestines us. He heals us. He transforms us into a new person. And you know what? You can do something like this too. You just take a sheet and you write at the top, what is God like? And based on what he's like, what does he do? And then right next to it, write down all the verses you can think of. I guarantee you, if you do this kind of assignment, you're going to go home. You're going to go to bed tonight thankful. Wow, what a God we have! How grateful we should be to Him. All the good things He does for us. He's never going to lie to us. Never going to let us down. It's always going to guide us. And the greatest thing yet is we get to spend eternity with Him, doing the most amazing thing. Because it says in the Bible, the mind is not thought, ears not heard, eyes have not seen. All the great things that God has in store for them that will spend eternity with Him in heaven.